Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, your number one source for income-oriented investing. I got Michael Kovacs with me today, CEO of Harvest. How's it going, Mike?
It's going great. Thank you. Great to be here.
Glad to have you back. And today we're going to talk about your two new Bitcoin ETFs.
hmm
So I'll just share my screen real quick in case my audience is not aware. You have HBIX, which is the Harvest Bitcoin Enhanced Income ETF. And then you have HBTE, the Harvest Bitcoin Leaders Enhanced Income ETF. So we'll start with the more easier one with HBIX. This is basically exposure to Bitcoin itself, and you're getting that exposure by investing in the iShares
hmm
Bitcoin Trust ETF or IBIT in the US, which I'm pretty sure is kind of the biggest, most liquid Bitcoin ETF out there. But you're doing a covered call strategy on top of that or on that ETF, and there's
Correct.
25% leverage as well on the on the portfolio. And you declared the first distribution here at 24 cents. So tell me a little bit about this ETF here, the construction about it. I have a few questions as well on this one.
Well, the underlying premise is very simple.
Hmm.
By taking a position in IBIT, as you mentioned, it's the largest, most liquid ETF trading in the United States. It has a large option market as well, which allows us to do what we do well, which is the option writing. So, as opposed to trying to buy positions in Bitcoin, it's much simpler and allows us to access the option market by setting a position in IBIT and then trading those options to generate the high levels of cash flow. So it's a very, very straightforward structure. The complexities are really around the options and writing up to 50% in this case, and the volatility in the market and so on. And as you know, Bitcoin's been very volatile. Well, it's always volatile, but it's been very volatile lately. It sort of dropped 33 or 34%. Now it's back up at the time of our recording here in the mid 90,000 range.
Yeah.
So it's jumping around constantly, but I think it's just a testament to we're long-term bulls on Bitcoin.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's a very simple concept. It's an easy way for income investors to hold or invest
Yeah.
in Bitcoin while still getting that covered call income. So a few questions. So the management fee is 65 basis points. I saw that. Covered call strategy, are you writing up to 33 or up to 50 for this one?
Well, we can write up to 50.
Okay.
And as we do in many of our portfolios, we'll start at 33. We'll write in the 33, 34% range, but we can take it up higher. And if I mean, one thing that helps us not write so much is when we have that high level of volatility, that allows us actually to keep our rate levels lower, unless we really want to sort of rack up more income. But our distributions have been set at 24 cents, which is a healthy distribution at this point, and we feel at 33 to 36% we can meet that distribution.
Okay, so right now you're writing on approximately 33 to 36. You're
Yes.
covering basically. So there's a lot of you're capturing a lot of growth of Bitcoin if it goes up. And
Yes.
also there's that I'm sure that 25% leverage helps as well.
Yes. Yes.
So okay, that's classic your classic harvest cover call strategy. No surprises there. That's great.
Right.
One question I had is this hedged to the Canadian dollar or it's not?
No hedging.
No hedging. Okay.
So yeah, very
Okay.
straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. Those
Yeah.
are the only questions I have for HBIX. Another one that you guys launched is, and this is very interesting to me. I actually recently added it to my portfolio because I thought it was very unique, pretty cool idea. The Harvest Bitcoin Leaders Enhanced Income ETF. So this also is a cover call strategy, has a cover call overlay. I'm assuming also, oh, we'll get into that later. Let me just introduce it
Mhm.
real quick here. Covered calls, 25% leverage as well. Management fee is 0.75%, so 75 basis points.
Mhm.
So this ETF does hold IBIT as well, but it's really 15 of the top publicly traded companies within the Bitcoin cryptocurrency ecosystem.
Mhm.
So it's very interesting because if you look at the portfolio or the holdings here, you have IBIT itself,
Mhm.
right? You have Bitcoin itself here at about 10%. You also have Bitcoin treasury companies. We all know the biggest one is MicroStrategy.
Right.
You have digital, you have Galaxy, which is actually a Canadian company listed in Canada. That's why you have the CN there.
Mhm.
crypto trading wallets like Coinbase, Block, and then you have a bunch of crypto miners. So tell me about this, the premise behind this ETF.
Well, again, sort of tying back to what I was saying earlier for HBIX, the idea here is we're long-term bulls on Bitcoin, and you can get a lot of volatility by holding these various types of names, like as you mentioned, um, uh, digital assets and services, crypto miners, MicroStrategy being a bit really focused on Bitcoin treasury.
Yeah,
So we want to focus on organizations, for the most part, 14 of the 15 that are focused on the Bitcoin ecosystems, whether that's mining, whether that's crypto wallets, position ourselves in these companies and then write options to generate that cash flow. And again, 33 to 50%. We think that we'll probably see more volatility on this name than on HBIX because you get a lot of that movement in the stocks based on sentiment and announcements and so on that can drive prices more. Or every time Michael Saylor announces they just bought another, a few $1 billion of Bitcoin, that adds more excitement there. So the idea is we want to be focused on similar to HHIS, but we want to be focused on companies that are strictly in that ecosystem and where we can generate high levels of income.
makes sense. And it kind of reminds me of like gold versus gold miners. So you have you could buy Bitcoin like an IBIT, but then you have the gold miners, which kind of move in tandem with the price of gold.
Yeah.
So yeah, very interesting concept. Tell me a little bit about the stock selection. Is, right there in the description, it says 15. Is that 15 like set in stone? What if there's another Bitcoin treasury that comes out? A perfect example is 21, by
Mhm.
Jack Mallers just came out. I don't even
Yes.
know if they're
Right.
publicly listed yet. So is
I
15
don't think
like
so. Yeah.
max, or can you add more names? Tell me a little bit about the stock selection.
So the 15 is our initial positioning.
Okay,
So to answer your question, yes, we could add more names. So there's no actual cap on the amount of names we could have in that portfolio. We'd like to keep it concentrated, but to your point, of something, by the end of the year there could be 18 names in there. There could be 16 names in there. We don't know. We have to see what comes to the market. There may be a name that gets taken over in there, and therefore we have to
true.
find another name. But the idea is we like 15 as a starting point.
Okay.
Just the diversification across these various parts of the ecosystem. And they all, 14 of the 15, we can write options on, so we can generate a lot of cash flow on those positions. But to your initial question, we can have more than the 15 stocks.
Yeah, and that brings me to another question. Are you going to be how are you going to be writing these covered calls? Are you going to be writing covered calls on every single name every month, or you're going in actively every month to see, okay, let's write calls on this one, but not on this one for some reason. How is that going to be managed in terms of the call writing?
Yeah, we're going to write on all the names. And again, it's really a matter of the bigger names, we may write more. Say a MicroStrategy, which is a far larger capitalization.
Yeah.
Most of the names are there. We may write more on that name. We'll probably will write more on that name, but we could write pretty much across the board on all these names, anywhere from 33 to 50%. So like with our other strategies across all of our funds, some funds we may be written at 36, 38%, some, sorry, not funds, some names,
Yeah.
and then other names may be only written at 20, depending on where it is, what the volatility level is that at that particular time. So we can write on all the names basically.
Okay,
And
interesting.
then you've
And
got the IBIT as well in there that we can write on as well. So that's
yeah.
more of a pop-up. IBIT may disappear at some point as we put another name in there, but it was a nice way to sort of keep that theme and that momentum in there around Bitcoin.
Okay, so I hear a lot of, from what I'm hearing, lots of active management, the stock
Yes.
selection, cover call writing, which is pretty expected from and what we're used to with Harvest, which is great.
Yeah.
The initial holdings was approximately, you kind of already answered this question, but
Mhm.
I'll ask it anyway. The initial was like 10% each in IBIT, MicroStrategy, Block,
Mhm.
Galaxy, and Coinbase, and then 5% each in all the other miners. So is this a percentage that could change? Are you guys going to be, is there any rebalancing that's going to be done quarterly? How is the percentage for each holding going to be decided on a
Yeah,
quarter to
well, that's a
quarter?
good question because as you know, we rebalance quite a bit with many of our portfolios.
Right.
What we'll do is we're not going to rebalance to equal weight. We're going to weight these positions where we feel the opportunities are. So as you can see, some of the larger names have heavier weightings currently.
Yeah.
That could continue. There's no mandate to rebalance. We go back every quarter and we review all the names. That's when we may add a name or take a name out. But the idea is, if we feel, let's say, MicroStrategy's running and doing very well, we will
Yeah.
probably hold on to it and continue to write options on that position and let it grow. So there's no mandate to rebalance. We will operate more as an actively managed fund that way.
Okay, very interesting premise behind this. I'm a fan. I have to admit, I like the Bitcoin. This is kind of like a Bitcoin ecosystem. You got miners, you got MicroStrategy, you got the trading wallets and stuff. So this is a cool way for maybe investors who are a little bit hesitant just getting Bitcoin. This is like you're getting publicly listed stocks that have to do with the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I'm assuming that if Bitcoin keeps going up and up and up, these companies will benefit as well.
Yeah,
So
and there's a lot of theories out there, and as time goes on, they'll play out.
yeah,
But the thoughts is a lot of the companies will probably outperform the actual underlying asset being Bitcoin. And we've seen that with MicroStrategy.
yeah,
So, and we've had some people call us and say, why don't I just buy MicroStrategy? Why am I buying the portfolio? And I said, well, that's your decision at the end of the
yeah,
day. This is just a way to buy a basket of various, whether it's treasury companies, miners, a basket that's focused on the space, giving you a little more diversification and allows us a lot more names to be writing calls on to generate that cash flow.
yeah. And you guys actually have a MicroStrategy single stock
We do.
MicroStrategy ETF with covered calls and 25% leverage. It's one of the 14 in HHIS.
Right.
And so you could get that as well to complement this. There's so many amazing options as a DIY investor right now. It could make your head spin absolutely, but
There are.
it's great to have more options. This one, no hedging to the Canadian dollar as well, just like HBIX. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think that's really all the questions I had on these. Very straightforward. The first one's very straightforward. You're getting access to Bitcoin with IBIT. You're writing covered calls on it. Max right level is 50%, starting at 33 to 36. So you're capturing a lot of that upside, but you're getting that nice monthly income, which is a little bit more enhanced, of course, thanks to that 25% leverage. But that could increase your obviously will increase your volatility as well. And then you have the players in the Bitcoin ecosystem, which, as like you said, they're a little bit actually more volatile. Just like gold producers are more volatile than gold. This is kind of the same concept. This is why I kept getting reminded of. I guess that's why they say Bitcoin is like digital gold, and that's how you should view it. So
Exactly.
that's all the questions I had. I thank you again for coming on. Pretty cool ETFs. If there's anything that I forgot, you could go ahead, but I am good.
Well, there's nothing you forgot, Adriano. It's simply, as I mentioned, we're long-term bulls on Bitcoin. You can see there's a number of, we only have 15 here, but there's all kinds of organizations out there that are accumulating Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They're either doing some fancy financial engineering, but at prices that are optimal that allow them to accumulate Bitcoin. And as more and more of it gets taken off of the market, it becomes more dear. So I think 15 years into this digital assets existence, or now we're in the 16th year since 2009, we think it's really starting to take hold globally. There's a number of others, as we know, out there now. Solana's out there, and Ether, and all kinds of them. But we still see this as the sort of the main globally accepted digital currency, and this is why we're going to continue to focus on Bitcoin over the others.
Makes complete sense to me. I totally agree with that. It's definitely the biggest. It's the only one without an issuer that has a limited supply, which makes it very unique and special in that regard. And that's why they're calling it digital capital, right? Long-term store of value. Whereas the other ones are a little bit more utilitarian, but I'm not a crypto expert at all. I get confused when I try to figure out what these do, but Bitcoin I find is pretty much the easiest one to understand, and it makes sense why a lot of corporations are starting to buy it and hold it as their treasury asset. And who knows what maybe the governments will start doing that as well. We have a very pro crypto White House now for the next 4 years. So that's also a positive sign. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm also a long-term bull for sure.
You
Let's
are.
see what
And
happens.
I think the main fact, there's all kinds of positives around Bitcoin, but I think the fact that it's limited, 21
Yeah.
million coins, and by 2040, I think is the date. That's it, no more. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I think 20
it's
my
limited supply.
2035, don't quote me on that. 2035,
Yeah,
over 99% of all Bitcoin will have been mined by 2035. So but
yeah.
2040 it could be like it'll be so, there'll almost be none left to mine. So imagine, imagine gold's running out. Obviously that would cause the price to go up because everything's based on, commodities. It's based on supply and demand. So I'm with you. I'm very excited. I think these are some great products to get exposure to it in your portfolio very easily, especially if you're a stock investor, because, I don't have a wallet. I've never signed up to a crypto exchange or anything like that. I'm more of a traditional investor. So this,
Mhm.
via an ETF is just an easier way to do it, my opinion, right? So
It's definitely, I think it's easier as well, just to hold on to an ETF and you can buy and sell it and trade it very, very quickly, as opposed to going through a wallet or a crypto exchange.
yeah,
So from that point, it is easier.
I totally agree. I'm just curious. So sometimes, most of the time, you guys will have like a non-leverage and then a leveraged version of something. You guys decided for these two just to start with the leveraged 25% leverage, which is modest leverage. But right now, you don't have a leveraged version. I'm just curious why you decided to
Or
do that.
non-leveraged, you mean? Yeah, we do
Yeah,
have, these are all
exactly.
leveraged, yeah. And you'll notice on our last few single stocks, they're all leveraged. So
Yeah,
we're just, I guess to your point, 25% leverage isn't a lot. It's considered modest, but it's enough to give you a little more torque, allow us to write a little more on those positions. And we just think it's for these types of strategies, which are really growth strategies, growth and income strategies.
yeah.
We think having a little bit of leverage is the way to go, as opposed to the non-levered versions as well. And what we're finding with our own experiences, people want the levered versions of these types of products.
Yeah, I certainly do. I'm a fan of that style cover calls with a little bit of leverage. I'm definitely a fan of that. So okay, cool. Was just curious about that. So Mike, as usual, you've been very gracious. Thanks for explaining these two ETFs in detail, and hope to have you back soon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it too.
All right, take care. Have a great day.
You too.